All right, welcome to the Doggie Dojo, everybody. My name's Trevor Smith, and today we have a special treat for you guys. I have here on board, we have Taz. Hey, Taz, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going, everyone? All good?
Yeah, it sounds good. Well, Taz, just real quickly, I guess, tell me a little bit about yourself, maybe a little bit about your training background, just so people that don't know. I know there's probably a lot of people on here that know Taz. He's quite involved here on the Modern Dog Training Group, and we appreciate him being on here. So thanks so much, Taz.
Yeah. So I'm also my real name's Lewis, by the way. So if you get confused with who's Taz and who's Lewis, Taz is actually a nickname. I was a baby, basically.
Uh-huh.
So before I came to New Zealand, I used Taz all the time. My parents call me Taz, but since I came here, I've just used Lewis and whatnot. So I'm Lewis as well, by the way.
Yeah.
And so I started out probably around about 6 years ago. And I started out using quite traditional methods, or not quite very traditional methods. A lot of success. I mean, I did get dogs to stop doing certain things, and I got the behaviours I wanted through traditional methods. But the more I looked into it, the more I realised how my methods were working. I decided to try out new methods and see what they would actually do as well. And the more I learned about kind of reward-based training, more about what positive reinforcement was, what operant conditioning was, delved into a bit of learning theory, I actually learned that I could get the same behaviours, but using methods where I didn't have to use kind of scare tactics or intimidation or pain or anything like that. And they were more effective. So Porter, the dog that is in a lot of my videos, is not mine, but I've trained him since he was about, it must have been 8 or 12 weeks. So he was like a little tiny ball when I met him. And we started out with rewards. And I've just never had so much success with the dog. And I use it on all the dogs that I train. And so kind of outcome as well, really, really successful. So here I am now. So I'm like a reward-based progressive trainer, I'd call it. So always looking to see what's out there and what's going to work and whatnot.
And I noticed that too a lot. Like I've been actually enjoying your content that you post here on the group, and also like on your Instagram and stuff. That you have very inspiring stuff, things that inspire people. And I know that you it seems like that you have a plan about your dog. That your dog is just not something that's inside of your house that moves around, that you feed every once in a while, that actually is a part of your family, a part of your life. And I think a lot of people aspire to that. I think people want their dog to be part of their life. They just don't know how. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on here and just kind of talk about this topic, which is basically just New Year's resolutions and how to set your dog up for success, and what to look for in your dog and setting up for success. So I did ask Taz to prepare some top 10 success tips for you guys, and finding out how to get your dog up.
Like 10?
No, top tips. Just 3.
Tell me 3. Oh, I'm sorry, I did the top 10. I thought I only got
top 10, like 10. And by the way, guys, I just want to let you know that I'm from Austin, Texas. So that's from the United States, as you guys may not know. But and then Taz is from New Zealand. What part of New Zealand?
I'm originally from Essex in England. So I'm from England, but I'm currently in Wellington, New Zealand.
Yeah. So this is quite a feat that we have here. You know, we have across the nation, because right now it is 1:00 p.m. on Thursday, and for Taz right now it is 8 a.m. Friday morning.
Yeah, 8:06 a.m.
Oh, 6 a.m. Friday morning. Really? So that's why. So give Taz a big round of applause and some thumbs up and some hearts and some likes down below. And also, as you guys can see, a second ago, I'll post it up again real quickly. Any comments that you guys post up here, I can go ahead and show, so we can kind of have this little interaction here with you guys. We can kind of see and talk. So if you have any questions or comments as we move along here, we'd be glad to see them and engage with you guys. So once again, we have some New Year's resolutions, and we'd like to go ahead and start that. So Taz, go ahead and take us off and tell some of your tips that you recommend for setting up for success.
First of all, I would get rid of the food bowl. Don't use food bowls. Reason being is because if you are feeding kibble, is every piece of kibble you can use to reinforce a certain behaviour that you like. So if your dog does something, like what I tell people, I like to play a game where you interact with your dog, but the only word you say is yes. And you just wait for your dog to do something you like. And then as soon as they do it, you say yes, give them a bit of food. And you'll see them behaviours increase and be offered more and more and more. So I wouldn't bother with a food bowl. It's just a waste for you and the dog. I've actually been to clients' houses where they leave the food out and the dog's going crazy. And I can actually pick the food up from the bowl and use it to train the dog. So the dog would rather take it from me when they're interacting with me as opposed to just eating it from their bowl. Second tip, I'm assuming this is for new owners that are just getting puppies.
Either way, new owners or, even people that are kind of experienced owners. I mean, some people kind of get a little bit lost in this last year, 2016, could be rough. And then they want 2017 to be a little bit better with their training. So.
And then second one would be teach the behavior before it becomes an issue. So the classic one would be walking nicely on a lead. You'll get people that will just take their dog out and then try and train it when it's already an issue and it's already too hard for the dog to kind of understand what you're trying to teach him. So there's a real simple way, again, kind of draws in with the first one. You can use their food and just make the good stuff happen when they're next to you and they're walking next to you. So if you do that, if you get your pup and do that around the house,
Sorry about that.
Get distracted. No, good. And so what you can do is you can just reinforce your dog for being next to you in the house, in each room, and then go out in the garden. And puppies are like sponges. They pick up things real quickly. Before you know it, the pup will be offering the behaviour, and then you can start phasing the food out. And then as you start to go outside, because you remember you've got to have a few weeks where the pup's even not allowed outside. So you've got a lot of time to prepare them in the home environment. And then maybe when you get outside, you might have to take a few steps back because there's going to be a lot more things that the dog's going to be interested with, initialization aspect. So that's already all down to the owner, to decide what they think is best for their dog. And then lastly, play more with your dog. I love playing tug or stuff like that. My favourite game. I love interacting with dogs. And what I find is I'll go to a client's house and I think, right, if they're comfortable with me, I'll start interacting with them, playing a few games, something that they like. And the dog's really wanting to interact with me. We get outside and the dog keeps looking at me like that. And the owner's like, oh, wow. And I'm like, it's not rocket science. I'm just a source of fun.
That makes sense.
I'm not.
Yeah.
There would be my three.
Those are your top three tips. But I find that last one, all three of those are really good. So you had get rid of the food bowl. Love that tip. It's actually so funny that you should say that because I beforehand prepared some little things I wanted to say, and that's one of the biggest ones I put. And so that was right off the gate there. And then the second one was train the behavior that you want before the behavior that you don't want exists or starts to come up. And even if that behavior exists, it's not over. It's not game over. Just focus on the good, right? So, sometimes we so much are focusing on the bad. And that's so funny. We think pretty same. I'll have to send you my notes off to the side after the show. But that's exactly also what I put too. It's focus on the good, man. You got to focus on getting your dog to be successful. Don't focus on the bad. And then 3 was play with your dog more, which I think is so critical, so crucial. It's so important that you play with your dog because your dog has to see you more fun than anything else. So many times. And I feel that's kind of a problem. I'm not sure how it is in New Zealand. In America, I've actually seen, we have all these dog parks that keep popping up and people keep taking their dog parks, which isn't always a terrible thing, but it can be a lot of times because then the dog's social or interaction is with other dogs or other people or things outside of your home and not you yourself. So the dog looks for all that's fun outside of you and outside of the family versus inside the family. So I think playing with your dog more, like you said, when you walk out the back door, they should be looking up at you going, we're going to throw a ball. What are we going to do? So those are some really good tips. And thanks, Taz, thanks for those great tips.
And going back to dog parks, I usually stay clear of dog parks just because the classic dog there is going to be the out of control dog. That's a friendly dog, but out of control.
Very good.
So it's going to be like the kid at school that runs around trying to get you in a headlock, giving you that knuckle on the head, that kind of behavior.
It's like recess time with no teacher supervision, So
exactly. Well, supervision, but if your dog's having fun, then it's all right.
It's all right, and I find that it takes a particular dog to actually have fun there. I think the big misconception is that in order for my dog to have fun, I have to take him to the dog park, and that's not true. The first thing they should be having fun with, their first living being on this earth that they should have fun with, is you. And if your dog doesn't know how to play a game with you or have fun with you, whether it be fetch or some other game that you play there, tug. I don't know if it's actually necessarily a good idea to begin the process of introducing them to dog parks, because then you're going to have even a harder time with them wanting to play with you, I find sometimes, because all they want to do is play with other dogs and not you. So,
saying that, it really depends on what your dog likes as well. If your dog, because a lot of dogs will love playing with other dogs, but they also will love interacting with you. And I think if you're going to be skilled at kind of using your kind of reward, so to speak, because a lot of the time you'll see people take dogs that love other dogs to the dog park, but they're reinforcing the habits that they don't want to reinforce, so they get dragged to the dog park and they're giving the dog the best reward possible. And then they don't recall the dog when they're playing, so the dog just learns that the fun happens over there with the dogs, but as soon as mum or dad calls me back, they're just going to pop me on the lead, so that's no fun. So then they're basically not really helping their dog out.
And so yeah, exactly. And once again, thanks guys for joining on here. I appreciate you guys, and thanks for the comments below. I hope I'm seeing all your comments, but if not, we'll check them out at the end of the broadcast here too. But also, feel free to comment right now, because we can also see your comments on screen as well. So going into New Year's time, I feel like people can be very lost and they don't know where to start. And actually, I find that the best place to start is actually to remember the good that you had. So in 2016, what are some good times that you had with your dog? Because so many times we think of the bad, and I find it demotivates you to train your dog. When you remember the good, it kind of motivates you to get more of that. So that just goes with all big success tips in general, and human life, but also works in dog training life too. So in the comments below, guys, if you guys can, go ahead and let us know some of the good things that you found happened in 2016. It can be major, like your dog won a title in a competition. It can be but that's not as important sometimes as maybe you took them to the on a hike up in the mountains and you looked over and watched the sunset. Stuff like that. Just, it doesn't have to be competition based. If you're just living life with your dog, what are some of the good things that happened this last year, and what are some of the good things that you're looking forward to do in 2017? So I'd be interested to hear everybody's comments, or everybody's good in the comments below. So go ahead and share those, guys, if you guys can. And then from there, I've kind of thought about like a training trinity when it comes to setting goals for your dog. And this kind of Ken Ramirez does something some of this. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Ken Ramirez, but one of the things is you want to make sure that you have a good, healthy lifestyle with your dog, and that could be a bunch of different elements. And the three I find that are major are physical, mental, and social health of your dog. So make sure that your dog is very well mentally stimulated and having fun, and training is a big part of that, and training your dog and playing games with them. And then physical, like making sure your dog is all health, is all checked up, that you go to regular vet checks with your veterinarian, and then also that you also on a social end, and we covered the social end pretty well, I think. It's the fact is it's just not necessarily about dog parks; it's about having fun with your dog and playing more. So those are the major three on my end. Is that you want to make sure that your dog is physically healthy, mentally healthy, and social health as well. So socially healthy as well. But do we have any questions for today for me or Taz in the comments? Feel free to put them down below. But Taz, did you have any more thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think you're making a good point with focus on the good. Yeah, I think that's... Sorry, I'm reading the comment there. So,
hard to multitask on that one. It pops up, yeah. Good job, Jasmine. Awesome job for training some awesome tricks to your dog. It's great. But go ahead. Sorry about that, Taz. Sorry, the interruption.
You're good. Just like what you're saying, focus on the good. I think we get so dragged down with the negatives that our dogs do. We never focus on any of the good stuff, And when I tell people, like, the good stuff is just when your dog's not bad. Basically, to start off with, whatever your dog's doing that's not bad, reward them for it, and then build upon that.
I
So,
find
like, if your dog jumps up, sorry, go on.
No, you go on. You go. You're good.
With jumping up, like, even if your dog doesn't jump up and just looks at you, reward it when they're not jumping. And then, I don't know, if you want them to sit, then you can ask them to sit or wait for them to sit and reward that. But just really focus on letting the dog know when they're getting it right, as opposed to when they're getting it wrong. All species will learn a lot quicker if they get told when they do a good job, rather than when they get told they're doing a bad job.
Yeah.
I can't remember where I read somewhere. It was like when you're doing a crossword or a Sudoku puzzle. Like, if every time you get it wrong, there's someone saying, "Nah, wrong," it will start to wind you up, you know?
Yeah.
But if that doesn't happen and you get rewarded when you get it right, it becomes a lot more fun and a lot more likely that you're going to continue doing it. And I think it applies for them.
There's a game that I like to play, and I do this like in seminars or at camps and stuff like that. It's called the training game. You play it with humans. It works out really fun. It gives them perspective. Basically, what you do is you send a person outside of the room, and you can play with this with your family, guys. I guarantee you have a blast with this, friends or family. You know, this is a really cool game to do. But you send somebody out of the room, and the people in the room decide an action the person outside the room is going to have to do. And as soon as they walk back in the door, the only words you can say to them is yes. They also do this with clickers. You can do this with clickers as well. And basically, it prevents you from saying no or stop or quit, and really kind of challenges you to focus on the good, like you're talking about. And it's a hilariously fun game because you can get people to do the strangest things. Sometimes you roll over on the ground, bark like a dog, whatever, and they just by using the word yes and being positive. And it's interesting, actually. A fun study that I saw or read last year was about this guy who was trying to show a prison program how positive reinforcement or using reward-based methods can be very beneficial for training and rehabilitating. And they had two rats, and one rat was, if he was on the floor, he would be punished until he got up on the bed. And then but the other rat, if it was on the bed, it would get a cookie. And the rat that was getting punished got on the bed quicker than the rat that got the cookie. And they're like, oh, well, this doesn't work. This is not showing exactly what I'm showing. And so they took a break, and during the break, while they were petting the rat with the that got a cookie, it was all sweet, and the rat that was getting punished all the time was acting very adversive and didn't want to be petted and everything. So it kind of shows that I'm not dogging punishment-based training here, because that's not what we do here on the Modern Dog Training group necessarily. But what I am saying is that I know as a person for myself that I like to be told what to do more than told what I'm not doing right. And I think that's something that everybody can learn from. And everyone learns differently, and dogs do too. But it's important that we all focus on the good in our relationships in our life, not just with our dogs, but with our dogs in general. We don't have a complex communication system with our dog. We have what we do have is rewarding them for the good behaviors that they do have. Yeah, I'll have to. I kind of shortened it up to make it easier, but thanks, Avery. I shortened the rat study up to make it a little bit easier to digest. But we'll I'll tell you more about it if you're interested sometime. But yeah, any other tips that you have? Any questions down below, you guys? Since we're heading toward, we'll wrap up this end of the broadcast here. We'll put a little Christmas scene up here, but a little New Year's end of the year scene, and then. But any questions you guys have for me or Taz? Let us know down below here in a second. We'll wrap this thing up. Just to let you guys know, thanks Taz for joining us on the show. One of the things you guys can do, if you guys want more information from Taz and stuff like that, he's very active on here on the Modern Dog Training group, but feel free to go ahead and check out his Facebook page, facebook.com/Taz, I keep calling you Taz, Lewis. Thanks, Lewis, for joining our show today. I appreciate that a lot. but Taz is your nickname. Where did the nickname come from?
Oh, it's so long ago. I can't really remember. It was something to do with karate, I think. I used to do karate, and well, I think initially it came from swimming, and then when I went to karate, it came from someone from there, and it just stuck since I was about 5. So I've had it all my life, basically.
So do you like being called Taz then?
Well, yeah, like before I came to New Zealand, I wouldn't respond if someone said Lewis. It was just so like it would just never be used. But like whenever someone wanted me, they'd have to say Taz. Yeah. I'm getting more used to it now.
Exactly. Thanks, Avery, for showing Taz's information up there. So the barking lot dog training, huh? So that's and there you go. Thanks, Avery, for showing that, and I appreciate that so much. But then also one last tidbit. I was just looking through my notes that I would tell everybody right now. It's not an overnight thing necessarily when it comes to training your dog. You can change the way you behave towards your dog overnight. Like you can say to them, I'm going to treat you with love, and I'm going to start rewarding the good and focusing on the good, but results take time. And results aren't always black and white. They don't happen right over just right with one training session. They take multiple training sessions. And so something I suggest that you do is so something as simple as teaching your dog to sit maybe while you're out on a walk. If you ask your dog to sit 10 times while out on a walk, and they only sat 2 times out of the 10, and you're like, great, my dog is 20% of the time just does not sit, or 20% of the time only sits. 80% of the time my dog just doesn't listen to me. Well, just keep trying, because the next time you go out there, you may only get 4 times, and you're like, great, still my dog's a 60% failure. But if you realize that what happened there is that you actually just doubled your results. You went from 20% to 40% efficiency. So sometimes you may not be perfect. None of us are perfect when training your dog. And so make sure to be aware of that. It takes time to focus and train and play with your dog and have fun. And every time you train them something new, you start to learn a little bit about them, and they start to learn a little bit about you. And training will get easier over time, but you just got to start with one behavior and go from there. So that's my last thing. So when you set goals, make them achievable, make them something that you can do, and don't worry about what happens today. Just worry about the next day. And if you're working every single day with your dog a little bit, and you're doing the Taz 3 tips, we'll have to do something with that. Is that that you're using their food, and you're focusing on the good, and you're playing with your dog, then you should be in good shape, guys. And I hope you guys have a great 2017. And thank you guys for joining on here. And I don't have any comments down below, but I do know that comments will come. If you're watching this on replay, everybody, feel free to just leave a comment right now. Me or Taz will definitely be on here later to answer any comments, whether for us specifically. We are, this is a new software that we're trying out here on the show. And every once in a while I'll be able to bring on people for interviews. So if there's somebody that you'd like to see for an interview, feel free to go ahead and leave me a comment down below. I have a couple people lined up for January that I'm excited about. One of them next time, actually, I think that is next week. If everything works out right, she travels like crazy. Has everybody seen the Border Collie video of the dog dancing around yet? It's has millions of views. I'm not sure if you've seen that with Sarah Carson, the Super Collies. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. But if everything works out right, she is next week. Sarah Carson with the Super Collies will be on here on the show. It may be at the regular time at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And so that will be good. So let me go ahead and type that in there. So I hope you guys will enjoy. But Taz, thanks for being the first live interview here on the Doggie Dojo show. Appreciate you joining on here. I asked Taz earlier this week, and he was like, yeah, you're welcome, man. He's like, I'll try. And so we're like, okay, I do the show at 11 a.m. He's like, that's 5 a.m. for me, but that's actually 4 a.m. for you at 11 o'clock in the morning. No wonder you're never on my show. So that's good. So once again, give him a big round of applause. Give him some thumbs up, you guys. Thanks, Taz, for being on here, because we really appreciate you waking up this early, 6 a.m., man. That's crazy. But appreciate you a lot. So I appreciate it. And so
yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, man. Thanks for joining on board, and we'll talk soon. Thanks again. Everybody have a great day. Make sure to have some fun with your dog, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.